welcome to the Businessmen and Women of Color podcast. I am your host, Ann Alston, and it is my pleasure to bring quality programs to all of you. I am so excited to be here again with another amazing speaker. Not only that, he's in the technology field, which is my favorite industry. And I want to encourage everybody to please listen to the entire podcast and really take in some of the information that's being shared. Also want to encourage everyone to please go to all of the pages and check out all the bios. Reach out to people who you think that can help you. And also take the time to listen to each and every podcast because there's so much good information that's being shared. It's incredible. And you don't want to miss this unique opportunity. So please take advantage of that. Just in case you didn't know, the purpose of the Businessmen and Women of Color podcast is to not only just share our profession and our industry information, but we're also encouraging working professionals and career seekers to enter their line of work. We would also like to take a moment to thank our corporate sponsors and partners, our family of authors, Butler Armstead Consulting Solutions, Human Resource Learning Center, J&F Enterprises, and Women Offering Wealth, along with many of our business partners and sponsors who's helping to make this event a success. So today we have an exciting podcast today where we have someone all the way from Indonesia who is in the technology engineering programming field, and he's going to come on the podcast and talk about his organization, how did he get into this field, what is he doing with the talent that he has, and how this can help us as a business owner. So I would like to introduce Rinaldi. He is the founder and CEO of GRES Studios, which is a company that promotes the concept of Internet of Things through creating innovative solutions for problems within the community. Rinaldi has been perfecting his programming and invention experience since he was 14 years old. After a while, it became a passion, and it was that passion that led him to form GRES Studios. He has a personal vision to be able to get more young minds in the future, companies of tomorrow, by talking about the industry and ways that we can share our experiences in this industry and how we can envision a future for everyone. So I would like to welcome Rinaldi to the podcast. Welcome.
Thank you, and it's great to be on the podcast.
Good, good. So tell me what are you doing? What kind of technology you in? Because this is really interesting, and I am so excited to learn more about GRES Studio.
So, in Grist Studio, we actually focus more on the IoT side of technology. Upon like everyone already has their own focus of technology, but we focus on IoT because, the technology has really a lot of potential. We have basically there's a huge target market for it. I mean, even market research, it's said that it is predicted to be $14.4 trillion by 2022, the whole market estimate. And so, we thought it would be great to have developing technology in the IoT sector because it contains a lot of potential. Plus, aside from that, there's also a lot of market potential, not only in Indonesia but in other countries as well. The technology is still being developed, so
Mhm.
it's very interesting for people to also do research on it. And there's a lot of, like I said, there's a lot of potential, and basically people can also understand new things from IoT. They can also not only develop it from like a consumer standpoint, but also from a technical standpoint as well, based on their research, and so that they can further their own goals as well.
Okay, so that is wonderful. So I want to take a step back. Exactly what is Internet of Things? Just break it down so that we can all understand exactly what this is, because this is the first time that I've heard of it, and I'm not sure of the popularity or what scope and breadth that people know about this technology. So, from your perspective, what is Internet of Things?
So, the Internet of Things is like a revolutionary concept. The formal definition would be like it's like a network of internet connected objects able to collect and exchange data using embedded sensors. But it's basically like a concept to show that things are being able to be connected with things. So now people used to connect with people, but now people can connect with things. More and more things around our daily lives are being connected to the internet. For example, you may wake up and see a fridge now being connected to internet, or a television now connected to internet. And that just shows how the IoT technology concept is being widespread now. We have a lot of things now around our house, whether we realize it or not, that it's connected to the internet. So basically, that's the main thing of IoT. They try to connect embedded sensors in the devices that we have now around us to connect to the internet to make our lives easier. And that's what IoT has done. It has made our lives easier since now we can communicate with our devices wherever we are. And that's one of the aims of Grid Studio as well, to be able to make devices that people can connect to easily.
Okay, so on your website, you also mentioned that there were economic and other type of issues that relate to the Internet of Things. Can you talk to that point and how Internet of Things is becoming either a bad problem or a good problem?
It's actually becoming a good problem because there's more and more people are getting to the industry itself. Many people are starting to also jump in because it was a really neat concept by the 2000s, but now since we got into 2016, 2017, it's becoming quite crowded. So it's one of the things that we have to be careful as well. So it's a good thing since it offers a lot of potential, but the bad thing is that many people are starting to grasp that idea that, oh, IoT is a great thing to research on and we should all jump in. So that's the kind of like the part that we should be ready for when we jump into this market, because there are a lot of potential competitors in the market at the moment. We have to be ready to tackle those challenges. At the moment, though, economic growth is going well because one of the factors of because of IoT. So I'd say that it's generally a good factor for the economy itself.
Okay, so for me, I'm gonna play devil's advocate for just a moment. Okay, given the fact that there is a huge issue in the US in terms of privacy and technology in general, do you think that with the Internet of Things that you're referring to, that our privacy is even more at risk because of the type of devices that are being integrated in phones and TV and other? Because there was one documentary and a couple of articles where I saw where it was really easy for like my television. We have television here that can connect to the Wi-Fi, and it was very easy for someone to hack in and to turn on my camera or to turn on something that is literally taken away from my privacy because now they can see or hear what I'm doing. So do you think that our privacy is even more at risk because of the Internet of Things and how it's growing?
So I do think like in some cases that it is more at risk, but sometimes that's why we also need to ensure that our companies don't exactly always are are exposed to those kinds of situations. For example, we already got companies, right? Generally ensuring their consumers, such as like through backdoor protection from third party intervention or from them seeing basically. So I think that to an extent, it's putting us more at risk, but that's why we should also be selective of the technology we take in. We should check like if the people there are basically also like exposing their technology to be used by other people. And also that's why we need to also improve our security as well. It's more reason for us to be able to know, like adding new security measures, putting new people to uh, secure those kinds of things. And basically, if we can secure our businesses and basically put on new security measures, I think that we can solve that problem. But we need to also gain the trust of our consumers. For example, in my case, myself, I try to also like put in new security measures to make sure that Grid Studios consumers are not like exposed. Their data is protected, and that's like one thing that many businesses need to make sure as well, because it is definitely a growing concern. And through protection, I do hope that we can gain the trust of consumers, and it can be a smaller issue generally.
Okay, so let's talk about the device that you proposed in your bio that you have designed. What type of technology is that? What does it do? And how does it solve a bigger issue I believe you have on your website?
So, the technology I developed personally, which was actually a technology that also started Gris Studio, was Gris Envimo. So basically, the Gris Envimo is a technology that helps to monitor air pollution. So how it is different from other air pollution monitoring devices is that it is able people are able to monitor their data using the Internet of Things concept. Usually, a lot of air pollution monitoring devices are either too big to bring, or too expensive, or they are just there. People have to keep like looking at the data there, and they can't really go anywhere and see the data. But now, since the IoT concept came in, which I made use of, now people I designed the device to be able to be put in one location, and you can just go anywhere you want. Basically, you can go to Singapore and you can still see the data because it's still connected to the internet. You can see all the numbers rolling in, and basically you can monitor the data from there. And that's a great thing because we understand that people can't always be in one location at once. Using the IoT concept, we are already offering them a solution to really not bring it everywhere, and we can do things better that way. We are able to communicate devices, send commands that way, and that's the thing that many people are trying to do. They're trying to improve convenience for their customers at the moment. Customers want convenience, and that's what we are trying to do at Grow Studio. We try to make appliances that can really help people to feel more comfortable with their location, and so that they can be comfortable with doing day-to-day things that they do. And basically, that's how it helps as well. It provides a new concept for people to also enjoy, especially since we also promote the small size of the device. Like people just can just bring it anywhere and put it anywhere and just leave it there, and it will collect data that way. So that's how the Grass Envelope helps as well. It basically helps people to try to measure the data from anywhere. And I do hope that the device can be used as a foundation for other devices as well to be developed and to be according to the new technology that's being developed. Because in my industry, for example, new sensors are always being developed, and I hope that the Grest Envimo can serve as an inspiration for new business owners aiming to develop new sensors, or also aiming to develop new solutions involving the IoT within the environmental monitoring kind of market, or other markets as well within technology industry that does involve IoT, since it's generally a relatively a growing concept each day.
Okay, so what I want to do is I want to kind of summarize so that I can make sure I am clear on what you said about this device, that it is designed to help gather data of the environment so that people can analyze and see what's going on in the environment. And so I'm assuming that this device is used for people who can take this data and actually use it to come up with solutions to fix the issue or come up with other devices that will help fix the solution. Am I correct in that?
That's correct. Yes.
Okay, that is a wonderful device. And so I'm going to step back. How did you get into IT and follow up with how did you come up with the concept that the environment was an issue and this device was needed? So, what led you first to get into technology and specifically programming, and then what led you to the concept of starting this company and coming up with this device?
Okay, so how I get into technology. Basically, it all started like, as you mentioned before on my website, I was really interested in programming at the first time. So I tried a lot of programming. I learned quite a lot of languages, and from there, basically, I thought like, perhaps I can do something with all this knowledge I have, something that can really benefit everyone. So it's not only stored on me. I want to also share the knowledge somehow by presenting it in the form of daily life implementations. And that's when I started to look for possible areas that I could focus in. And that's when I started to find the vision of really like doing something for the environment. So it all started from like searching for possible issues. I mean, there's a lot of issues in day-to-day life, but I thought the most pressing one, maybe the influence is because I'm in Indonesia. Like the traffic is so bad here that sometimes people won't believe it, and like the air pollution here is really bad because of that traffic. So I thought like, why don't I focus on something that is in front of me right now? And so that's how I really found the issue of air pollution as something that I need to tackle. And that's what when I started to develop the Gres Envimo, because I thought like something should be done about this. And it started out as a fun project. I just did it alone at first. But after that, after Guess and Rumo was developed, I started to bring it to exhibitions to really find out its potential. And so far, people gave positive feedback about it. So I decided to just make it a full scale operation. I invited at first a few friends to join me in this endeavor, which eventually expanded to more people to really work towards this vision. And eventually, we also expanded our vision not to only target the environment. Previously, our vision was to be able to solve air pollution using new methods and to be able to solve it using IoT. But we eventually expanded our vision to promote the concept of the IoT in our daily community so that more people can be motivated to use IoT. And that's exactly what we're doing right now. That's how I really actually got into technology. Just it all started with a hobby, but in the end it got into a more serious tone when I started to take on the vision of being able to help the community as a general from that standpoint. And basically from there, to answer also the how did I get the concept that environment is an issue, as I said before, the issue of air pollution in Indonesia, since it's getting worse and worse, that we need to do something about it. So that's when I started to decide to that we need to take action. And I'm really happy that a lot of people do feel the same thing. Our consumers, my team members within starting the company at the start, and generally a lot of people. I mean, it's the issue is beginning to be brought up a lot, and it's really great that it's getting a lot of attention generally, not only in Indonesia but in the whole world as well. We have a lot of potential within developing new technology in wearable sensors market, and I really believe that we can really do a lot of good from developing technology here.
Okay, that sounds fantastic. I'm really am surprised and I'm happy that you have taken a serious issue in your country and trying to find a resolution for it by having a device so people can know that this is what we're living in, and it will inspire people to get into what you're doing, and it will also inspire people to develop other devices, and I think that that will happen. But for some of the people that may be listening to your podcast and really feel that they are in tune of what you're saying in terms of internet of things and want to do program, how do one actually start getting into this line of work because it's so specialized. And I want to encourage our career seekers who are in technology, and this is specifically for college students who are taking programming classes or someone who's in the engineering field. How would they go about getting into Internet of Things or similar to what you're doing?
So it all starts with the vision first. When they want to try to get into technology, they have to be oriented with a vision. I mean, that's how I first got here because I decided to tackle an issue. And people don't need expensive knowledge in order to get here. They just need simple programming knowledge and basically the will to do it. And from there, they need to get that the same vision that I told you about. So basically, people, for example, in my case, it's environment, the environment that's concerning to me. So they need to also know why are they developing the IoT technology. That's the most important question to ask. When after they know the why, they can know where to go next from there. Because people can't just develop random IoT technology and just release it. They need to have an oriented mindset that where they are going with their company, why they want to do it. And from there, they can then go into the second stage, which is basically the stage where they are already experimenting with the technology they are going with and bringing it to other consumers' possible perceptions. So, for example, as I said before, for myself, I first started out alone, but then I came into other exhibitions such as Tech in Asia, which I went to, and from there I get a lot of customer feedback, possible investor feedback as well as in how the technology is doing so. And generally, for example, since the environmental monitoring sensor market is great and the IoT market is basically huge, we basically have a lot of potential investors and customers that aren't interested in there and are willing to give us a lot of feedback. So that's another point that people need to be aware of. Well, after they get there, they can basically know what they need to do and they can improve their technologies according to people's tastes. Because, of course, we always need to get continuous customer feedback, which is also what we do in Growth Studio. We also keep sending out surveys to make sure that people are enjoying our products, and we always are always happy to be open to any feedback that we have regarding our products. So after that's done, they can basically then start the whole construction process of the business. It isn't easy for example, college students or engineering. At first, they may think it's hard, but it's actually easy. So, for example, we just need to start with that first. And some people think the whole budget process is a hard thing to do, but sometimes it's just starting out from developing the one of them first. Just developing one of the devices isn't hard. And basically, what we need to do at first is not sell the device, but we need to sell the idea first to people. That's how Growth Studio also started up. We start selling the ideas to potential investors and to customers in those exhibitions that I talked about. And from there, we managed to get their attention, and we managed to see the attention of people where they are interested in, what they're not interested in, and from there we can orient our devices to their liking. And that's how we really develop devices that don't really waste money that way. We can really have the correct budget when we know what they want. And for college students and people who are within the engineering sector, people really can be motivated this way because they are seeing the developments in technology, and they need to have the hobby to develop these kinds of technology, because some people have that vibe for IoT and technology, but some people have a vibe for other places, and that's fine because like people have different vibes for different technologies, and that's why sometimes we need to find our true calling as well. What situation calls to us most? or what career calls to us most. And that's one thing that I think that is really crucial for people to find out before they get into any line of work. When they enjoy one thing, they can just do it until they're successful. That's one thing that I
Right.
learned over the years.
Right. So, okay, so to extend on that conversation, what is the primary programming language that people often use in this line of work? Because there's too many different programming languages out there, and I want people who have not yet started college or pursuing it to understand, because you said something critical is to make sure that you get into the right frame of mind in terms of what type of work that you're going to be doing. And so it will be helpful for the listeners to find out what type of programming languages that they really should be pursuing in order to get to where you're talking about.
Okay, yeah. So there are actually not a fixed set of programming languages in developing these kinds of technologies. I mean, I've already experimented a lot of languages. That's what we do here. We try to experiment a lot of languages and find out which one creates most code efficiency. But the current coding that we are using right now is coding based on the Arduino IDE programming language. So Arduino is a language that's not only based on programming language only, but it's also hardware. So it's a basic combination of hardware and software. And the combination of that basically is what's used to for us to really make the Gris and Vimos in general. We use out their hardware and we integrate it with the Arduino programming language itself, which creates the Gris and Vimo. But a
Mhm.
lot of businesses these days also use C++ or Python or the Raspberry Pi. Those are three languages especially that we have experimented over years, and we do plan on implementing it in new applications in the future because they also promote a lot of code efficiency, and those are common day-to-day languages that people learn actually perhaps in classes for college students to learn in classes, for example, or for hobbies to also learn. So it's not really a matter of which language is most used, but any language works actually. They just need to know which language suits them best and which language can promote the best code efficiency, since at this moment code infrastructure is a big thing. People need to like uh, put down on too much coding, and they basically need to make coding more efficient that way.
Okay. So aside from the GRIS device that you're working on, are there other initiatives that you want people who are listening to your podcast to know that you are involved in at this time?
Yes, one of our current endeavors is the research into better technology to generate solutions. So previously, we are presenting a way for people to monitor the environment as general, but we also want to create the mindset that we don't only want to monitor the environment. We also want to find a solution for it, because what's the use of finding a problem when we don't find the way to solve the problem, right? So from there, we're trying to develop air purifier actually to be attached to the Grass and Vimo as well, or to be separate from the Grass and Vimo, so that we're not only giving people the right to be able to see what's going on. We're not only giving them the right to feel what's around them, but we also are giving them the solution, because that's what many people also told us in exhibitions that we attended. One of the people walked up to me and said, "Ronaldi, that's a great idea, but don't many devices already have the same features, and why don't you have new ways of being able to implement technology? You're not giving the solution yet." And that's one thing that I said before, it's great to get a lot of customer feedback, and that's when I started to really think of the idea of developing an air purifier. So doing business is also a continuous cycle of getting feedback from people that way. That's how we grow as well. We get bad feedback, we get good feedback. That's how we develop as a company as well. And from there, basically, it's smooth sailing from there. We basically need to this technology, as I said before. We need to be able to give the solution as well. That's what I'm involved in right now, and that's what I'm leading the company to be involved in as well. So that way, we're showing our customers that they can also find new solutions through their endeavors within the market that way.
Okay, and so I like the fact that you're constantly gauging your organization through feedback and surveys and just asking questions. A lot of small businesses need to start doing that. I know I need to start doing that. And so with this podcast, I want to also have you survey and ask people who are listening, what does Rinaldi need? What do you need to thrive?
So to thrive, we all need, like I said before, the vision first to thrive. We need a constant mindset first before we go into any ventures. We need to keep bring it on as our own dogma because businesses only alive because of their vision. Take the big businesses, for example. Apple, Microsoft, they all start with a vision. They all started with one or two simple sentences that help them to bring out their full potential. And that's how they orient their day-to-day experiences. They all orient to the vision. And that's how people thrive. They basically need that exact vision to help them in their daily activities. And to thrive, people also need to have the correct procedures because not one procedure works for everyone. That's why many businesses try different kinds of new ways to thrive. People take, for example, a more business-like standpoint, or they can change their way of leadership within the company. And that's one thing that people need to keep trying as well to thrive. People need to try new methods of approaching problems. Problem solving, for example, within businesses need a lot of new ways to tackle them. People need a way to be show like they are able to take on issues in the environment with and thrive that way because people need to really give out like the sense that it's a big issue and communicating the message within companies that way is really important because to thrive we need to make people believe that it's a big issue as well and so that people can also understand that we need to do something about it. And to thrive within a community is to do that exact thing, to deliver a message to people that they can take in and apply to their day-to-day lives as well. And that's basically how people thrive at the end of the day. People start to understand the vision. And when they start to understand our vision, when people start to also follow with our mindset, they can thrive that way. And that's how many people need to also orient more of their business processes by starting to orient it with a vision so they can thrive.
Absolutely. We all need to throw our vision out there and so that we can thrive, and that's one of the missions of this podcast. And so everybody who's listening to this podcast right now, he has a huge vision which really involves not just people in Indonesia dealing with air pollution, it's also dealing with, like he said, the internet of things, how we are interconnected with each other through the internet, through TV, radio, cell phones, any device that connects to the internet that we have physically in our hand that allows us to communicate with people all over the world and all over the country. So, with that, we need to also foster his vision and also work with him to spread the type of solutions that he's offering, not only in Indonesia, but all over the world, because I think that that's a great concept. Anytime that you can fix an environmental issue, it is always a positive thing. So, with that, Rinaldi, I would like to thank you for coming on the podcast and getting up so early in the morning to talk to us
Thank you.
about the
It's my
Internet of
pleasure.
Things. I can tell you that this was a new experience for me because it's many years as I've been in technology and all the platforms that I've known. I've never encountered someone who has taken the forefront to devise a device that I know of that will potentially help someone with their health. And so I want to thank you and applaud you for that effort. And hopefully, I would like to work with you probably later on to see how I can help you spread the word of this information because it is so needed out here today.
Thank you.